This is Beyond a Reasonable Doubt with your hosts, Mark Geragos and Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get on. Welcome to the best 15 minutes or so in the universe. It's Beyond a Reasonable Doubt. I'm Adam Carolla, and Mark Geragos is trapped in court, but don't worry. We have Gary Smith. He's picked these stories, and we'll get right into it, Gary.
Yeah, we'll start off with a little tease here from one Mark Geragos. When he was announcing to me that he couldn't join us, he said, I have a tease. You and Adam especially will love my newest client. We didn't go any further, but something to think on.
Something's out there. Now, if he says loves, means either I hate it or I do love it.
Yeah, I read that into it as well. He's fond of you ranting.
Yeah, that's true. So I'm probably going to hate it.
Probably. All right, let's start out. The first story that we have today is a story we haven't really covered much on Reasonable Doubt, but it's the story of Hannah Tubbs, who is the transgendered sex offender who is in jail and has made some headlines, full beard, and apparently just understands the way the prison system works and decided, reportedly, some people think that she decided to start identifying as female once she was arrested, knowing that our district attorney is a little bit softer.
Well, also, if you're a sex offender and the sex offender is with a 10-year-old girl in the bathroom of a Denny's, which is, I kind of talk about the scariest elements of our society, and I don't really have such thoughts about counterfeiters or jewel thieves, or even assassins that are hired to kill dignitaries or something. I'm not fond of them, but they don't scare me as much as the rando act stuff, where it's like, I went into a Denny's to get a Grand Slam, and then I saw this 10-year-old go into the bathroom, so I got up and I thought I should go in there and molest the kid. That's very random, and it's up there with the people just walk down the street of Manhattan and punch people in the face. Like, those are the scariest elements in our society. Now,
absolutely.
In terms of how those people are treated in prison, well, they're not treated well. So it would make sense that if you're a dude and you could just announce you're a woman, then you might be able to go to a woman's prison. And then we have a dude with a cock and balls that is bunking up with chicks. I don't think anyone really gets where all this stuff goes. I've said it a million times. It's like somebody said, hey, wouldn't it be nice if people who are emotionally distraught could fly with their dog? And someone went, yeah, that sounds reasonable. And then 10 minutes later, every jack-off in the world got on a fucking airplane and took their dog. Because that's what happens when you open the door to this kind of shit. And if my son ever got in any trouble with the law and was going to prison, I'd say to him, just say you identify as a chick. And let's see if we can't get you in a better place. Hang out with Martha Stewart.
Well, along those lines, new audio has come out of Tubbs speaking with his father from jail. And he does not appear to be taking his situation very seriously. So let's check that out real fast.
Don't worry about it. It's a strike, but they're going to plead. I'm going to plead out to it. I'm going to plead guilty. They're going to stick me on probation, and it's going to be dropped. It's going to be done. I won't have to register. I won't have to nothing.
For an offender, you don't have to register?
I won't have to do none of that.
So what are they going to do to you then?
Nothing.
That's a fairly... Oh, there's
if
more.
If there's the next time I ever get in trouble, I'm leaving the state. I'm leaving the country. I ain't staying.
I'm having a laugh. Weird relationship with Dad. Like, enough relationship to call him from prison. And Dad sounded pretty nonchalant about the whole thing. But it's weird because usually the sex offenders, they don't know their dad, or the dad was raped them, or was a blind alcoholic or something. It's just a weird story and relationship. I mean, here's basically what I'm learning from all the easy bail, easy on crime, defund the police cities. What I'm learning is from everyone they bust was arrested 13 times or 19 times or 140 times. Like, seems like there's a smallish group of people that are just doing the same shit over and over again. And once you get arrested, I don't know, your 7th time, we don't need you in society anymore. It doesn't really matter what it's for. I was the same way with 3 strikes. Like, we had 3 strikes in California. I think it worked pretty good. I don't know. I don't think we have it anymore. But the 3 strikes thing, like, people would say, oh, so this guy, all he does is steal a packet of Funyuns and he's got to go in prison for the rest of his life? Well, first off, he should know that. Don't steal the fucking pack of Funyuns, number one. Number two, we're not putting him in prison because he stole a pack of Funyuns. If Gary stole a pack of Funyuns, he wouldn't go into the joint. We're putting him in prison because there was an attempted murder, there was a vehicular manslaughter, and then he stole the fucking pack of Funyuns, you retards. Sorry.
No, absolutely.
And so now all these states, and I should say all these municipalities that went with these sort of soft on crime prosecutors now and DAs, now they're all regretting it because, of course, do the math, have a revolving door, don't have people bailed out easily, and then they're back on the street, and then they're doing whatever it is they were doing, and now it's starting to impact people. Once it starts getting into Beverly Hills and the Palisades, like once it gets into the nice neighborhoods, then people get pissed off. So now we want to get Gascon, want to get him recalled here. But this is going on in Philadelphia. It's going on in New York. It's going to all the big blue cities are having this problem. It would seem like there's a course correction about now. That's what it would feel like to me. But
well, Mark's been saying for months that in November we're probably going to see a bit of a course correction with the elections coming up and maybe some shifting in some of the leadership. I don't know if you saw that there's a new candidate for mayor that Mark has said he believes may be our next mayor, Rick Caruso, developer behind the Grove and Americana brand, big time heavy hitter, a lot of deep pockets.
Yeah, well, also, the guy's a big-time commercial developer. Like, let's just get some people who fucking done something for a living in office, not someone, we got Garcetti. Garcetti's probably a career-long politician. His dad, Gil, was a DA, I think, got tossed after the OJ trial. But these sort of career politicians, let's get some folks who've been in the private sector, who know what it's like to pull a permit, to deal with regulation, deal with the city, have a parole. Not a parole. Have a, what am I trying to say, Gary? Have a payroll, not a parole, but a payroll to make every week, and subcontractors to deal with. Let's get some guys who've got some real world experience out calling a few shots. That's
well, Adam,
my take.
I mean, to be fair to Garcetti, before he got into office, he was a visiting instructor of international affairs at USC and an assistant professor of diplomacy and world affairs at Occidental College. So,
right, yeah,
that's kind of the same as putting together the Grove or the Americana brand.
Let's not have the bitch who was the Chicano studies major deciding on what we should do with COVID. Let's have someone who's fucking understands business. Who are all these fucking academics and thinkers? It drives me fucking nuts. Run a goddamn business, build something. I've always liked builders because that is the most, that's the punt, pass, and kick competition of a background of a leader to me. It's like you have to get people together, you have to pull permits, you have to deal with subs, you have to deal with deadlines, you have to deal with every facet of what the city can throw at you. And if you successfully do that, then it means you have some skill set in that world. And then you take that same mindset and you just bring it to the problem of homelessness. Or you bring it to the problem of the school systems that are failing, and you go, let that person who knows how to think and solve problems. The bridge builder, like the literal bridge builder. Like we're always talking about building bridges, but I mean, I want the guy who physically builds bridges to go in there and kick some ass in the school system. All right, Gary, what else do you got? So
there's a bunch.
And here's the other thing, too. Let me tell you the insidious part of this thing. No one really understands it, but this dude who identifies as a chick, when you see his mugshot, is as much dude as any dude will ever hope to be, physically. And so you go, well, he identifies as a chick, so now we have to say her. And then when the story gets told, first off, Gary, what do you think of this concept? We get to refer to you as the sex you were when you committed the fucking crime.
It seems to make sense.
You want to know why? Because
all those police reports probably refer to him that way.
Right. Because now what we do, because everyone has to be so fucking respectful, because somehow the trans community has decided to control everyone's fucking life, which is, and by the way, trans community, is this guy a friend? Is he an ally? Is he a cheerleader? Or is he just a fucking pedophile grifter who's grifting onto your movement to try to get an easier situation for himself? That's not your friend, trans community. This guy's a fucking pariah. But then what happens is we go, so what happened? Well, this young 10-year-old girl goes into the bathroom of Denny's, and then she comes into the bathroom after her, and she comes in. She comes in, and then she molests the young girl, and then you're like, she's molested and your fucking brain is going, what is the math? How did this work? And it muddies the fucking story up, and then you walk away going, it's just a girl touching another girl, or she
certainly lowers the stakes.
Yes, it just kind of your brain kind of, and then you do this fucking thing where it's like you hiccup a little. You go, Tubbs, what's that guy's name? Yeah, Hannah. So Hannah Tubbs, who was Henry Tubbs or whoever Tubbs, she went. She says that, I mean, Miss Tubbs went, and then you go, oh, fuck it. And that's where now it's working. Now the plan has worked. We're fucking confused and fucked up. It's literally like yelling at someone and arguing with someone whose name you can't pronounce, and then and it's like at a certain point you're like, I'm fucking leaving. That's where we're at. So makes sense, but hey, trans community, get a little distance.
Yep.
And by the way, shut the fuck up when people go like, it's a she. What's a she? It was a fucking dude. And go fucking tell the 10-year-old victim that it wasn't a dude who was attacking her in the Denny's bathroom, you sanctimonious pricks. What else you got, Gary?
Well, there's a lot that we have, but since we do not have Mark here with us, I want to just cover one. There's sort of two stories out there related to Jeffrey Epstein that I think we'll mention and maybe talk about with Mark further. The Supreme Court has decided not to take a case. Courtney Wild, who filed a lawsuit in Florida and claimed that federal prosecutors failed to consult the victims when they gave Epstein his plea deal back in the early 2000s. So the Supreme Court decided not to take that case, and they didn't comment on why. But the one that I think is just fun to watch and think about is that Epstein's former friend, Jean-Luc Brunel, who was alleged to have helped traffic models to him and children as young as the age of 12, was found hung in his cell with the camera not working.
Just now?
Like 3 days ago.
Wow.
They did the exact same move, and they're just like, nothing to see here. The exact same thing.
Wow. And what's the story with the camera not working?
I mean, no one's going to give you a satisfactory answer for that.
Yeah, it just kind of, it's sort of like who farted in the elevator, my theory of that. It says if it's just you and another guy and you fart, and he goes, "Why'd you fart?" You just go, "Why'd you fart?" And then he goes, "I'm suing your ass." And then you go, "Fine." And then you get sworn in, you're under oath, and you just sit there and go, "I didn't fart."
I didn't fart.
And what the fuck are we going to do?
Exactly.
Well, he hung himself. Yeah, well, come on. Well, come on.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
I love that they decided, no, exact same play. We'll run the exact same play, because what did they do last time?
Was he in the same facility?
No, he was being held in Paris.
Oh, in Paris. Here's the other thing, too. You kind of think about it. Be like, how could you spend, let's just say this. Let's just say in the height of his drug use, you were Artie Lang's best friend.
You'd be dead.
And it was like you hung with Artie, you go out and do stand-up and then hang out with Artie, blah, blah. You would have to do drugs.
Yeah.
You couldn't not do drugs and be best friends with Artie Lang. And I feel the same way about Epstein. Like, you can't be his best friend and not be in on this shit.
Right.
It's impossible. You would just... First off, you'd be disgusted. You'd find out immediately. You'd know immediately, and you wouldn't be his best friend. But since you couldn't share that many flights, that many trips to an island.
Well, they formed a modeling agency together.
Right.
MC2 Model Management was what Brunel formed with Epstein and was alleged to use the business for both legitimate purposes as well as trafficking young girls.
All right. So he won't be missed, but he would have been the gatekeeper or one of the gatekeepers.
One of.
Because Ghislaine
Maxwell.
Ghislaine Maxwell.
I think is how you say it.
It is weird. It's also a little, look, I didn't used to be this conspiracy theorist, but with COVID, I'm now, my antenna's up. She's just, her whole trial thing just kind of slid under and went away. Like, it's like, she's got a diary and there's going to be a lot of powerful people that get out. It's like, news is not interested in following up her story at all.
No.
So, in his thing, I didn't even know about him, but he would have been a guy that could have rolled over.
He would have been up there. We'll keep an eye on it if anything does develop, and we've got a lot more stories to cover when Mark gets back. There's some news out of the Trump world. There's a basketball coach smacking other basketball coaches. There's lots of fun stuff to talk about. So we will see you guys on Thursday.
So, until next time, Adam Cole for Gary Smith saying mahalo.
Thanks for listening to Beyond a Reasonable Doubt. Stay tuned for more bonus episodes coming soon.